Good afternoon to all. Over to Gaurang for the panel discussion.
All right. Thank you so much, Rohit. And welcome everybody to this panel discussion. Uh, I am Gaurang Vora and I am a program manager with a leading e-learning company in US. Uh, Basically, I have got about 2 decades of experience into program project management and have been very instrumental with delivering good enough, big enough, complex programs and projects in my career. I am very much passionate about Agile, and that's where I am here on this panel discussion. And I have been in an elite club of top 15 on a PMO Global Award representing India. So here is myself, and we'll go to the next panelist, who is Chitra.
Yeah, hi. Um, so a very warm and very good afternoon to Gaurang, you, Priyank, and Rohit, and everyone, my fellow panelists, and everyone who has signed in today. Um, Thank you for this opportunity. I am, very passionate about Agile and its implementation. Um, if I were to introduce myself, then I know I have been in the industry all throughout in IT services. I have gone from, being a developer up, through all aspects of the SDLC, worked with multi MNCs with clients across US, Europe, India. I've also worked with startups and when I started, getting back into coding after project management, program management, and service delivery, it was because of my love for coding, and that's when the industry was also rapidly changing to agile. Um, been very lucky in that sense to have a very front bench view of how agile has transformed the IT services landscape, and very happy to be here today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chitra. Renuka, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renuka Udavant. I come from around 14 years of experience, mostly in consulting and services place. So I've done everything from waterfall, transforming agile, helping organizations implement agile and strategize agile, and a lot of things. A lot of exciting work in very, different kind of domains, like almost all the domains I've touched on, and it's been exciting. I'm really excited to be here, and whatever 2 cents I can add, I'm really excited for that. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right. That was good, Chitra. And here we have Saurabh.
Hey, hi, good afternoon, everybody. So Saurabh here. I have 15 years of experience on developing innovative projects. Some of the highlights I have mentioned here, like a machine learning platform, which is kind of an end-to-end, which touches the customers as well. Different kind of methodology of software development, which is rapid response team. I did my startup, which was for anti-counterfeiting, and a lot of experience on how to start your startup from ground up, and developed an e-commerce platform, which was again a little bit innovative at that particular point in time. And I'm happy to share my knowledge and how a manager can work with an agile team in this form today.
All right. That's cool. Thank you, Saurabh. And last but not the least, we have Trupti Gule.
Yeah. Thank you, Gaurang. Hello, everyone. My name is Trupti Gule. I have around 17 years of experience in IT. I started my career as developer and now moved as a program manager. I'm into Agile since past around 7 to 8 years. I'm very passionate about it, and I truly believe that it works. So thank you for inviting me here and for this opportunity.
All right. That was wonderful. And now let's start our panel discussion on the role of manager in agile team. Uh, which we understand is a little debatable topic. And that's where we thought we could have a panel discussion around that. As per one of the Gartner survey, it seems that 30% of the US workforce is and only engaged with the work. And the top reason for good employees leaving the organization is because of managers. With the digital transformation and agile ways of thinking and collaboration, managers has to adopt new leading and coaching methods, and they have to be engaging, they have to be quite collaborative. And so let's hear from our panel on their role, skill sets, challenges they face, and also the panel's recommendation to our managers who are present here. So without much ado, um, let's go with Saraf to understand, is there a role of manager in agile teams?
Sure, Gaurang. Yeah, and I would definitely say yes. And based on my experience with startups or creating startups, and even say starting some of the projects from scratch, what I have seen is that there are various things a manager needs to bring in, and which I had to also uh, try and do it right. So some of the questions when you start a startup is like, how will you motivate your team or motivate an individual to join a very small team, right? So that is a challenge, right? And a manager plays a very good role in doing that, right? A manager, I also had to figure out what are the right talent, what kind of people will actually create that one agile team which will help you actually deliver your first MVP in a startup, right? So all
Mhm.
of that part, that I would say, basically you are the creator of that first agile team, right? So if you don't create it well, then there is a big problem, because you don't have infinite budget, you don't have infinite time to complete, etc. So in my view, manager do play a very crucial role, and I have seen it in my experience and also played it, and try not to go wrong. So yeah, that is a point from my side.
All right, and that's good insights out on the startup. And let's go to Trupti and ask her about the role of a manager.
Okay, so yes, there is a big role of a manager in agile teams. They are called as scrum masters, actually, not really a manager. However, their responsibilities as a manager and a scrum masters are pretty much very close knit. So, coming from planning, working as a person who manages the entire team from delivery end to end, is what I think it's a major responsibility that a project manager has to fulfill. Another point is doing a collaboration. That is also one of the very key areas for the project manager. So these are the major responsibilities which I think project manager needs to have.
All right. Trupti had a different view, and that was great. And with that, can we hear from Renuka on the same thing?
Sure, absolutely. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, because whenever organizations are transforming or we want to go agile, this is the biggest question everyone has. Because traditionally, manager is like all in one. We have been doing a lot of things together and putting multiple hats. I think what agile helps us is to make this multifold role into different paradigms of working. So for me, I think it is an evolving role. It is much divided. The work which a single manager used to do earlier has been divided into multiple ways. Like, Trupti talked about Scrum Master, but there is an aspect of manager which a Scrum Master needs to do. Then there are IT managers, then there are technical delivery managers, right? So it has been divided into multiple ways. And I think that is the beauty of Agile, because it's not letting you overstress, it's making things easy. It's putting that agility in place. So definitely there is a role of a manager, but how it is, that is the whole beauty, the designing of this role, the division of this role, and how this is being played, especially servant leadership being in place. I think that definitely makes it there, and it is going to be there. It's just going to be different, but it will be there.
All right, that's good. And with that, we'll hear from Chitra.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree to the views of everyone, right? Um, just like Renuka mentioned initially, we're all, most of us at least, we're coming, at least in the IT services industry, right? We're coming from a waterfall or an equivalent kind of a methodology, right? And Agile has been prevalent and it's been widely adopted, I would say, the last 10 years or so. And even, and that too, it started with at the Scrum level. Now we are scaling at the enterprise level, and in fact, in like Saurabh said, certain startups, you may actually be the first person to introduce Agile even, right? So it is still happening at the Scrum level. So in that sense, the role of a manager, I would say, is very, very distinct than being an involved participant in a Scrum team, right? Because what do you do? When the Scrum teams come in, they release their MVP, and then they disbanded. The manager is somebody who will bring in a sense of continuity between projects, between changes, and they'll also bring in a sense of cohesiveness. So that is not different from the traditional role of a manager, right? So that will not change. Um, they will also be nurturing talent, right, in between projects, or during projects. They can also act as an escalation point. We do see that, right, in our roles. We do see that. We are often functioning as an escalation point, or we're nurturing the talent, or we're bringing in that sense of community. So I think, yes, there is definitely a role.
All right, perfect. There was a great insight, Chitra. And so we all say that a manager has to be a motivator for a team. The manager since he is a creator of an agile team, he'll have to look at more collaboration, nurture the talents. He, Basically, he does not have to be overstressed to the team, rather than be a stress releaser. And I think basically this role is an evolving role, right? And he'll have to bring in people on the same page. He There would be a lot of servant leadership needed for a manager to nurture and move ahead the agile teams. So yeah, there was good insight. And with that, now, in your experience, can you please share 2-3 points about how a manager can develop and nurture an agile mindset? And we'll go to Chitra to hear her couple of points.
Sure, Gordon. So, yeah, I mean, see, we know that agile is different. There is no command and control structure. More or less, everybody in a Scrum team it's a flat. There's no hierarchy as such, right? And typically, if you see, the iterations are 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we do have demos where we engage with the business. We show our project, we show our product or our features at the end of a month. So there's a lot of what is required really is a sense of ownership and transparency, right, amongst the Scrum team. And so, as a manager, what do you need to do is you need to develop this. You need to develop this value system. And how would you do that? Is you need to be regularly engaged, because you're not depending on the organization, your or the context, you may or may not be part of the Scrum team, right? So you need to regularly engage with your team, with your directs, and you can do it on a one-on-one basis, or you can do it with team meetings, or any other type of sessions, and have that build that trust with them, so that they know that they can reach out to you. They know that they are being held to that value system, right? And yeah, and please make sure that you time box, whatever engagement you do, because the team is anyway having, DSUs. There's a lot of, Agile is very nimble. And so, the Scrum team is definitely, in that sense, they need to be optimized. So make sure that whatever engagement you have, it's time boxed, and, there is some value which, you are getting, or, your direct is getting. Both ways there should be value. And I think one particular thing which I would say, especially in Agile, is specifically for talent who are, I would say, a little introverted, or people who are not very, open, or who do not express themselves. I think as a manager, please do pay special attention, because you need to draw them in. And Agile is such a structure that nobody's going to come to you asking you. You have to be proactive, and you have to be participative. So I think it's a process, and you will definitely be able to nurture the right set of values to your team.
They were good insights, Chitra. And with that, we go to Saurabh to hear about a couple of points from him.
Yeah, sure, Gaurang. So, in my understanding, in my practical world, what really worked is that you can't have a smooth running agile team on day one. And what I've seen is that it needs practice, right? So, say if you're working with team A may behave a little bit different, and then say like they practice and then they get good, right? And then say like you are moved to team B, you will find the same thing. So what I would suggest is don't get frustrated saying that why don't understand, right? So it is all about practice, the way the team practices it, right? So help them practice agile. And if possible, I would say like also what has worked for me is having an agile coach also on each and every scrum call or each and every ceremony, right? So that has also have worked for me in past. So net I would say like 2 point, help them practice, and also provide an ecosystem which can guide them. Okay, this is something that you're doing wrong. Retrospectives are very important. What I have seen is the most important thing I have seen is retrospective. And when say a person takes a responsibility that okay, the next time I am responsible for making this correct, or I am the one who will make sure that this will go well, right? So Gaurang, so to your question, how to nurture is say provide them coaching and let them practice, and they will be good in agile.
That's great insight, Saurabh. And with that, Renuka, would you like to let us know?
Sure. But Saurabh and Chitra covered so much already about nurturing, and it's such a delicate word, because when we say nurture, and a lot of managers, they try to do the right thing in the name of agile, but sometimes the guidance, the direction is very important. And direction comes not only from coaching, not only from understanding what agile mindset is, because they themselves have to be in agile mindset to understand what they need to nurture, right? But it also comes from the team most of the time, right? And we are, and mostly for teams who are starting new, managers who are starting new, it's very important to understand what that agile mindset is. And it's also important for managers to create that trust environment within the team, saying that it is okay to fail at start, but we will learn. As sort of talked about retrospectives and everything, we have to learn continuously and improve continuously, inspect and adapt. I think that is the biggest part of agile mindset, and that is something which a manager needs to drive overall on and on, and and on an ongoing basis. Understanding processes, understanding everything else knowledge related will definitely come. Team members will teach each other, but a lot of the times it is more intuitive. Teams try to understand and work together, and they build a great team even within 1 month or 2 months. Sometimes it takes a lot of time. It's just because we need to understand what we need to change or what we need to improve. So to nurture that, it's understand what we need to nurture, where we want to go, and then find the right tools and techniques to do that. And it's sometimes it's just like one-on-one conversation, or it just like, it's okay, let's do this now, it's fine, let's do this now. So creating that environment where they feel psychologically safe too, that, trustworthy, and they can go to their manager and say, hey, this is not being done, let's do it this way. I think that is an environment we are looking for to nurture.
That's that's wonderful, Renuka. That's wonderful. Quite good insights. And with that, we go to Trupti.
Okay, a lot of things were covered here. I don't really have much to add on to. However, I can share my experience into this. So I've been fortunate to have a team which is agile, non-agile, couple of members who were part of agile, who knew a little bit of agile but completely not believed it. So agile do not happen. It's a mindset, right? First thing is it's a belief system. So you need to start first believing in it. Now, nobody will go ahead and just start it from day one. So that's a continuous coaching. There is a continuous call. There is one-on-one, in the meetings, during the retrospective, as Saurabh mentioned. These things keeps coming. And once you start building that kind of a trust, which Renuka had mentioned, once you have that kind of a trust, I think people start believing you. People start believing in the Scrum Master of what they are saying. Coming back to retrospective, which Saurabh had mentioned, doing a retrospective is fine, but remembering those things and learnings and taking it ahead is something that takes that reminder needs to be given to the team, that in retrospective too, we did this, we remembered this was our learning, we need to now ensure we do not do the same thing. So I think these kind of collaboration activities, review of each other's learnings, I think this would really help to build that kind of a nurturing environment.
That's super, Trupti. You gave us your practical experience about things, and that was super. So, a manager to nurture a team, basically, it's not a command and control in agile, and manager will have to have that agile mindset to nurture the team ahead. And to develop value systems, basically, the manager would have to would have to get engaged with the team. I'll have to build trust, and then align the whole team together and see if there are some introvert team members or who does not speak much, involve them, get them and make them unable to align with the team. That was great. And then we said the manager will have to be giving guidances and directions to the team, not as a boss or a manager, but in a way where the manager can align the team and nurture the team to move ahead on it. A experience of mine which I can share here was a manager really cannot do micromanagement with the agile way of working. I mean, a manager will really have to let the team fail and let them do some research and then move ahead. So a lot of the times it happens where your senior leaders would say, I need this done by so and so time frame, and basically you as a manager, when you allow your team to fail in that, they might not be able to deliver that. And that's where you can manage your senior leadership and the relationship and build the trust with your team in a way where you can serve as a cushion for them. So yeah, I mean, doing micromanagement might not help, but involving everybody together and moving ahead would really help in the agile way of working. And we had quite good insights on this. All right. And with that, since we have spoken about nurturing agile team, what do you think are the 3 knowledge areas a manager must have to enable the agile team? And we would like to hear those from Renuka.
Okay, big question, because there are a lot, and sometimes it is just about how do we learn. So I think learning is very important for managers. It's not really a knowledge area, but it kind of covers whatever we need to do. Like we talked about servant leadership, like they need to understand what servant leadership is. And I might be talking more on high level, but that is important. They might know about applications, they might just know about what needs to be done on a daily task basis, but understanding how to reach out, having those people skills, having problem solving skills, like helping teams, sitting with them, brainstorming, finding out what needs to be done if something needs to be done is important. It's also about coordination and collaboration. A lot of the times I've seen, in my experience, when we are trying to implement Agile and they are, executing it. Some of the things will be done really well, but when it comes to dependency management and strategizing and thinking about, okay, how do we need to work on this? If we are working on a product backlog, how do we track these dependencies? A lot of times, if they are not doing it, like literally, if they don't know how to do it, they need to know how to ask for help too. So it's those are like more of executional skills from knowledge perspective, not really technical, but knowing these things makes things easier, and technical is something you can definitely learn. But having problem solving skills, understanding, asking questions, asking for help, dependency management is very, very important.
All right, that's wonderful, Renuka. And we would like to hear uh, a couple of points from Trupti.
Okay, so three focus areas, which I think is one is the agile customization. The way agile works for every team is different. Not really different, but there is a tweak. There may be some customization that you may have to do it according to the team's mindset and according to how things will work for you. Again, in the industry also that you are working for. So, agile customization. What kind of agile things that you need to make changes to and then put back so that it becomes agile again. So these are, a couple of these are one of the important skills which I think a person or a scrum master must have. Second is understanding the preparatory work required before the sprint starts. So their development team may not be able to start something right on the day one. There is something which a preparation is required, or there is a delay which may happen because of something else. So there is an impact. So these things are very important to understand. So these are, this comes after 2 or 3 sprints goes away, but then once you start knowing it, I think it makes a life much better for a scrum master. And third is a planning in detail. It takes time to come to that again. However, once the manager understands what kind of a planning is required for to run this team, I think then it works pretty well. So that has worked for me.
All right, that's great insights, Trupti. And with this, we go over to Chitra to share her points about knowledge areas.
Yeah, I think we've covered. I think the essence of what we really need, but in terms of knowledge areas. But I just like to add, that conflict management is a key knowledge area, because you are, like you said, right, Gaurang, to your point, you also have top management, asking you to drive certain outcomes with your team. And then you have, your team also coming back to you, asking you for help, right? Or, if there's something. So you, in that sense, you are, having both communications flow both ways. Um, and definitely, you have, like Trupti mentioned, right, depending upon the mix of the team, you may have, high tenured, senior team members, working in the same scrum team as a, as a college fresher or a new joiner. And at the end of the day, we're all the same structure. There's no hierarchy. So all this, it can become a place for a lot of conflicts, and you need to be able to resolve those conflicts in such a way that delivery is not impacted. um, and then, as a, I think I would say, as an offset of that would be stakeholder management, because you are in so many ways, right? You are working with so many other people, right? The scrum team, it's your job to make sure that the scrum team is not disturbed, and they are time boxed for the iteration, and they're able to do that sprint backlog or whatever that they have committed to. But there's a lot of noise. You're in an organization, and there's going to be a lot of things that you need to work with your team and with the management. So stakeholder management is key. And I think all of this just boils down to good leadership, right? Because we spoke about servant leadership, and what is that really? I think it's more being more proactive than managing a team. Nobody's going to come to you and report anything to you. You have to check in. You have to make sure that your team is doing well, and that in turn the delivery is not impacted. So I think these are three areas that I would like to add.
All right, perfect, super, Chitra. And so we all say that a manager need to know or should have an agile mindset, should understand what an agile mindset is. He should be working more as a servant and have a leadership. So that's like servant leadership. He should be collaborative. A manager also needs to have a lot of soft skills to understand the team dynamics, the stakeholder dynamics, and like Trupti mentioned, saying that agile customization, like some tweaks for your organization as to how it works, and the preparatory work or the preparatory work a manager needs to know about. So those were the knowledge areas which we discussed, and I feel like we all are saying, I feel the manager really needs to have a continuous learning, continuous way of adopting new things where they are going to face newer challenges. It's always not going to be saying that, oh, there was this challenge before, and I can put in this kind of an solution to it. So basically challenges are going to be dynamic, and those are going to keep coming in newer ways and things. Usually it happens with all of our human brains where where there's a situation and we would just go either Google out or find out saying that, oh, whether this has happened before or not, and then try and see what was the solution out there. That helps. But I think with all of this dynamism and with the way the world environment is changing and agility coming in place, the managers will have to be more innovative about how they come across a solution or how they put a solution across and move forward with their deliveries, with their teams, with their senior stakeholders, and all of them. So so we spoke about the knowledge areas which a manager should have, and now coming down to challenges, I think this is going to be an interesting question for the audience also to hear. Is we would like to share your experiences about the challenges faced by a manager while nurturing and developing an agile team. And we would like to hear some 2 3 points of this from Trupti.
Okay, so the challenges that those are faced by me are, there are a couple of them. However, since I've told that before also, that I always had a mix of teams, some who believed in agile, some who did not. So changing their mindset, changing the beliefs that it really works is the first place. But I think once you start getting into that rhythm of delivering it on time, people start believing in it, that it works. The second, the challenge that I've faced is time to value to the market, right? Going from ideation to the production release. So that duration needs to be reduced over a period of time, and believing that it can be reduced is something that kind of a coaching needs to be given to the team. So, so I think I would put it into that as well. That time to value needs to be looked into by Scrum Master in every sprint, to ensure that we follow that, or if we are not following, at least ensure that we follow in the next sprint. And the third is, I think, agile training and coaching really helps. So ensure that if the team do not know what agile is, they are getting trained from the professional coach. So those are my experiences.
All right, that was wonderful, Trupti. And with that, we go to Saurabh to hear from him about the challenges faced by the managers.
Yeah. So Gaurang, so let me just put some of my challenges that I have faced. So one of the challenge that I have faced is that the projects are different. The kind of projects are different, right? So like you get a project of say like data migration, you get a project of say like implementing machine learning, you get a project of say like implementing web development, and so on, right? So what has happened right now is that everybody is talking agile, right? That we should adopt agile, we should do it in an agile manner, and I see that is one of the challenge, right? First, first we should understand whether this project is something that can be executed in an agile manner or it has to be executed in a normal way, right? So explaining that maybe to say maybe to pre-sales or maybe to the customer who has kept in his mind that okay, we will do it in an agile manner is one of the challenge that I I have seen, and there should be a way to well. So that's point number one on challenges. Second is like when you are dealing with say small teams and but the team are of like different types. So say like you got people from UX, you got people from DevOps, you got people from data science and so on, right? So now say to explain a UX person that we will need UX, but we will need it in say like sprint by sprint manner or maybe like one sprint ahead and so on, right? That is quite difficult because what UX thinks right now today is that what is the whole process, what is the user journey, what will happen, right? So those are some of the challenges that I see in today's day and time doing executing the projects. Second one, the first one that I spoke about is something that can be solved easily by say educating on what agile, like where agile should be used, where is it as a right tool, right? So that can be solved. The second one is still something I'm thinking about, I'm doing, I'm working on it. But I would say those are the two challenges I would like to highlight.
All right. That was great, Saurabh, to hear your practical experience. And with that, we go to Chitra to understand from her challenges which she faced, or rather, a manager who would face those challenges.
Yeah, I think we are in the middle of the biggest challenge so far anybody has faced, right? So
Absolutely.
with COVID and with everything, it's just brought in that additional dimension. When you're managing your teams, um, and you are geographically, the boundaries have shrunk. So past so many years, and so when you're talking about co-location, may not always happen, right? You have people in different time zones, different geographies. So that is definitely a challenge, more so in the agile context. You have your DSU calls. You sometimes, when you're actually forming a team, you never seem to have the correct, perfect time slot for even a DSU, and how really important it is, right? That is a starting point. Um, so definitely, I think in terms of co-location, and then you also have some constraints, right? I have worked with startups who are bootstrapped with no funding, to those who have had angel investors, but then now I'm working in an organization which has already implemented agile at the enterprise level, right? So we have very mature product planning increment sessions happening 4 times a year, and so really a large portion of the challenge is taken away from you if the ecosystem has those resources to support that agile adoption. And then definitely key to all this, especially in a startup scenario, is to have the sponsors buy-in. That I personally, I will, with my experience, I have been in scenarios where, if it's not a very technical person, they do not understand, the benefits of agile unless they see it, right? So that takes maybe 4 or 5 iterations in some cases. So it's a continuous challenge, and depending on the context, also you need to, like, you need to adapt, and you need to keep seeking solutions for that.
All right, that were good insights, Chitra, from your side. And with that, we turn over to Renuka to hear from her.
Yeah, I think I have very little left to say after everyone covered a lot of things. Challenges, when we talk about challenges, there are like so many on day-to-day basis, and everyone faces so differently. And I think one unique thing which I've seen, working with different clients in different domains, there are some challenges which are always constant, conflict management and working with senior leaders, or the distributed agile, right? Working in different time zones. That's a definitely constant challenge. How they resolve it, like there have been some really innovative ways they have resolved it, having a scrum master here, having half of the team there, sometimes having scrum master there, having half of the team here, but then bringing all the cultural differences together and bringing everyone together on one thought process is a big challenge for someone, because there are people working from different areas, different countries, different cultures together. So how do we bring everyone's mindset together is a big challenge for managers. And I think that is a continual constant challenge, no matter what company, what organization we are working on, whether it is a startup or a long lasting agile implementation. One of the other things is also, and it's very curious though, because managers are expected to report and track the performance and everything in a typical certain way, traditionally. What agile does is it changes how we are tracking it. Is the thing is it is for the team to see how the metrics are working, how to improve. It is for the team. So that bridging that gap is one of the biggest challenges for managers, because they are being expected to report something on a monthly basis or review something with leaders, right? And then with the team, they are expected to collaborate with them and understand more like a data point to see what we need to improve, what we need to change, kind of. So that becomes a challenge, because then they struggle, and then they come to coaches and they talk about, hey, what do I do? I need to see metrics, and they are confused most of the time because they don't know what to do. So it's one of the biggest challenges, and I think different frameworks, like which are like more enterprise level, they are helping with that. They are helping to see how, not just on the team level, but how these things escalate and expand on program level, on portfolio level, on the overall business capability level, right? When we talk about portfolio management. Another thing with budgeting, how do I budget for agile projects? Big challenge. Like, how do I do it? Most of the time we just do estimations based on wonderful understanding what we have, and when it comes to performing, we have stringent timelines. And it has happened, I mean, recently it has happened. It's like, okay, we are delivering in an agile way, but we have to deliver this much by end of this. So no matter how agile we are, we have to slog, we have to do things to just make it happen. So that's a big challenge, and I think these are really something which needs to be addressed in an innovative way or in an evolving way. So it's not just the role of the manager, but also how we are handling their challenges. Are we understanding those challenges is very important. So that needs to evolve too, and I think that needs to come on a very overall level to help them with.
All right, that was super, Renuka. You spoke about agile budgeting. You spoke about different kind of contracts. They are distributed teams. So yeah, so those are the things. And then we also need to have a manager where he can understand where to use agile or where to use a different approach or a different methodology to the projects and tasks which are coming in. He will have to bring in everybody's mindset on the same page, so that everybody is aligned and the deliveries can happen. The other challenge which Trupti spoke about was on the time to market, where teams are expected to deliver faster with the same quantum and volume of work which we have. So the manager will have to coach the team more, train the team more, uh, have them with multiple skill sets and move ahead. So basically, I read this, or I was hearing this from one of my mentor, that initially we used to have a SME or a single skill set team member would have. Now then that shifted to the T-shaped skill set, and now it is shifting to an E or a comb-shaped skill set, where the team members or everybody on an agile team will have to have um, multiple skill sets to work with, so that at least we can go to the market faster, we can generate better delivery values for the organization. um, there's also this one thing now. There's a shift in employees' skills and development, and as their ability to learn and move forward. So basically, a manager will have to empower the teams more. A manager also is at a situation where he has to take quick decisions, which is basically which they'll have to have all the team aligned, have the stakeholders aligned, the business aligned, and everybody aligned. So it is more of the manager having an agile mindset and innovative, creative mindset, and taking things forward. So it is more about the manager having more value, or a open mindset driven thing, rather than the tenure of a manager in the organization, I think. I can give a couple of examples which I experienced while I was in my journey. So, with my current company, basically, we have got about 9 to 10 agile teams working together on different products. And what used to have was we have this one feature which would cut across multiple teams, and then each team would have their own priorities. Now, when I have to go to market with a feature, and each team having their own priorities, it happens that one team would take it, the other team might not take it, and then you will have a lot of rucksack in between, saying, now how do I go with this feature in the market within a stipulated time frame? So with this, what we did was we implemented scaled agile. And that's where we said, let us bring all of the teams together on this common feature which has to be delivered, and then try and mark out the dependencies and say which team is doing in what time frame, and then make sure that within a stipulated time frame we have the feature delivered with a good business value. So that was one thing which I came across in my experience, and it was a real good experience. The manager really needs to get into the core of the things to understand that how do I align this with team A, team B, team D, and so on and so forth. So that having said that, they are scrum teams, so they have agile. I mean, they would have agile way of working, and then how do you really go and align those things together? And then another thing which I have faced was with agile. So our POs, they come and say that we are agile. So if there is a change from my client which has been asked, you have to do it in the middle of the sprint. I'm like, no, that is not agile, right? You cannot do it in the middle of the sprint. You'll have to have the cadence set. I mean, you'll have to have time given to the team to at least work on something which you have, and then go and look for. So with this scaled agile, what we did was we have something called as fixed or committed delivery, and then we leave a little room and buffer for this kind of emergencies or criticalities to come in, and then say, okay, this is this much percent is my fixed commitment, I will deliver this, plus I have this criticality, so I pick this and then I deliver this. So that becomes a total better value driven for the organization, for the team, for the product management team, and for everybody. So I think you'll have to come up with a lot of this kind of innovative ways to uh, uh, generate values for your organizations. And with that, while we have spoken about challenges, skill sets, role, so with that, let us understand what are the future skills that you would recommend for a manager who are listening to us today. And I understand that that role is an evolving role. It is going to be continuously evolving role, and the future will not look like same. So we would like to hear from Chitra a couple of points on the recommendations for the manager.
Yeah, Gaurang, we spoke a lot, we spoke at length on, what are the challenges faced and, what are the knowledge areas we need. And, going forward, we know that, this role is going to change, right? There are so many disruptors already in the industry. And, accordingly, the manager's role also has to change, right? But what I would, probably, you know, we have seen, because Agile has, at the end of the day, it has revolutionized the industry. It's not going anywhere. There is, and there are very valid reasons for it, right? It has cut waste, it has increased the time to market, and it has, it has brought in a lot of cohesiveness and direction to, a company. I think key, the bottom line to, all that we are saying, we definitely need to know Agile. We definitely need to know the, the technicalities of Agile, the ceremonies. We definitely need to know the culture, where we are working, and we need to have all these other skills, right? Communication, conflict resolution, stakeholder, etc. But I think the bottom line really is that, we need to have empathy, right? Because you are also constantly adapting as a manager. You're also having constantly new challenges which are coming to you. So how do you respond to all of that? You are being looked upon as a manager, as a leader, sorry, and not as a manager anymore. So in that sense, you're not a very well defined role anymore, right? You cannot say, no, this is not my role, I'm not going to do this, because your team is not like that. They are not a developer, they are not a, and so on. So we spoke about, how the type of skills are going to be different for a team, right? So it's not just going to be T-shaped skills. It's going to be like, we want everybody, to pick up what the other person is doing ultimately, right? So all this disruption is definitely going to, impact the way the manager is also seen, the expectations from that role. And so, how do you respond to it is, you need to have empathy. And empathy, we all know, right? It's not sympathy, right? But it's just trying to understand, why that, the opposite side has got this view. And so, if I can understand that, then I can respond better to it, and I can manage the situation better. So empathy is key. And then secondly, I think, just read the Agile Manifesto. I think, I don't think, we do that, when we're reading, or, when we have trainings, we go through that. But it's a small, simple one pager, and it speaks so beautifully about the concept of Agile and, what we're really doing. And if we understand that, then, that's all we need to know, in terms of how to go about the solution. So it says processes over people, people over processes, and so on. So, so yeah, be very, very on point with Agile, and be empathetic.
All right.
And I think, these two are very crucial to also attract and retain the right kind of talent, because Agile will not leave any place for people who do not perform. And you don't have that luxury of, let's say, after 6 months, in a UAT, you can, I'm not saying that, these are not problems. I've been a developer myself, and I'm also a manager currently. But these things are visible. They are more transparent now. So if you want to attract the right kind of talent and nurture them and retain them, definitely you need to be empathetic to them as well.
That's super, Chitra. That was super. And with that, we would go to Sarab to hear about what he has to say about the future skills.
Yeah, so on the future skills for managers, what I would like to bring is that there is something that you have already done today, and that is why you are right now in a manager position, or you're going to be a manager position, right? So, but what I'm seeing is there are two things which is very, very important, I would say. One is like, if you are coming from technical background or a technology background, don't leave it. Always be technical, because that's your strength, and that will help you connect to your team very well, because your team will always be technical, right? So I would suggest one thing, like, if you are becoming a manager, don't leave your technical hat. Carry it with you and keep improving on that. That is one thing I would say. Second is, like, when it comes to manager, what I have seen is, like, a lot of time managers are customer focused and focused on delivery and myopic on delivery. But when it comes to product development, it is very important that manager understands the engineering excellence part of it also, right? Everything can't be done fast. Everything can't be done quick without ignoring the engineering excellence, right? If you ignore engineering excellence today, your team will be doing patchworks. Your good engineers who you brought at whatever amount, they will run away. They will do everything to get out of this because they don't want to do patchworks, right? So this balance between, say, engineering excellence and customer focus is the I would say one of the most challenging thing also to learn. And if somebody can achieve it, nothing like it. I would say that, try to achieve that, try to understand that. Okay. And to do all of this, what you really need is, you need a good team. You are a good manager only if your team is good, right? So figure out a way to select your team, right? So probably those are the three things I would like to say. And these are certainly helping me out as well. Engineering and customer focus balance is always like on and off, but I'm trying to do that. But yes, these are the three things I would say.
All right, wonderful, Saurabh. We got quite good information from you on this. And with that, Renuka, please share your recommendation.
Sure. So let me start with, calling managers leaders instead of servant leaders. And I think one of the, futuristic skill, or even in current scenario, I think one of the biggest skills required for them is how to develop leaders within the team. I think it's one of the hardest jobs. It's something we need direction on, and we need to know how to do it. But when we talk about servant leadership, and the way the role has evolved over the years, I think one of the futuristic things is how do we develop leaders within our team, within our organization, and that's what Agile is about, right? Everyone is a leader. Everyone is able to work with each other and develop that leadership capabilities within each other, and that's what is helping us to be more agile. So I think that is one of the skills which is currently required, and it will be required as our agile world is growing, as we are innovating in these things. Secondly, I think technical aspects are important. Not too technical. I mean, it depends on how the person wants to be involved too. But a lot of things are moving to cloud. A lot of new technologies are coming. AI, machine learning. A lot of our projects, our deliveries are based on that. So having the knowledge of that what is coming, because it will help them to select right skill set, and even guide their team members to what needs to be done. How do we achieve these kind of deliveries? Because we talk about frequent releases, we talk about delivering in an agile way a working software, but when it comes to different kind of deliveries, different kind of work, different kind of applications and technologies, we I think managers struggle with that okay, I know how to do it with these kind of applications, how do I do it with this? So knowing that, adjusting that, and moving from there is also important. Third, I think I would like to talk about is how does it look holistically? Because most of the time, teams don't have any idea what is happening up there, what are we delivering, what value is going on, and most of the time, even after that level, they are not aware of what the team wants and everything. So I think it's a big job, and it's a big skill for a manager or a leader to bring everything together, to give that holistic view of what is happening, and also maintain it going forward. So there might be a lot of little skills and other things which will help to it, but all in all, I think these three things are very important.
That was great, Renuka. Quite good insights on that. And with that, we turn over to Trupti to hear from her.
Okay. So Saurabh covered about the engineering and customer aspects, and Renko covered the product roadmap. So those were the wonderful insights. Even I agree to those points that it must be known to a developer what is it building and why is he building that kind of a product. Um, the other knowledge areas that, or maybe the skills that I would suggest is not on a technical front, but more on a behavioral front. One of that is a trust in the team. You had mentioned about Gaurang not doing the micromanagement, right? So I completely agree to that. Having a trust in a team is very important. If you think your team is bluffing and if you think they are not giving you a right estimation, I think that kind of a thought, if you start having it in agile, the work, it's not going to work. So we need to have that transparency within the team of what exactly are we estimating for and why it's going to take time. If you don't understand it, go to a developer, ask him one-on-one why he thinks it takes so long, or why he thinks so short. I mean, is he really understanding the requirements? So I think the trust in the team is very much required, and that mindset also needs to be there. That what others are saying is also true, or maybe if you don't believe that, but then go and have a word with it, but don't keep assuming it in your mind that it's not true and it's all bluffing. So that's the first skill that I would encourage. The second is having the proper agile knowledge. I think it's required, maybe for the not for everyone, but at least for the manager for sure, to read the reports very well, to read the burn down charts very well, the velocities very well, understand the story points very well. So I would suggest doing the agile certification or doing the coaching courses which are available in the industry. The third is encouraging collaboration with everyone within the team rather. So if developer knows what he has to do, the tester knows what they have to do. If they just if they don't talk to each other, or rather the whole team don't collaborate together, the output that we are expecting may not come the way we are expecting it. So ensure there is a lot of collaboration, there is a lot of talking. People are free to call each other and talk to each other and give them that freedom that they need. So I think these are most important points according to me. And also the tools. What tools are we using for agile? So it's important for an organization to have a great agile tools in order to ensure the teams are working correctly and showing the correct reports, or the timelines that we are trying to reflect. So that's one.
All right, that was fantastic, Trupti. So just to summarize on what we all said, the future managers would need to develop leaders within the team. They should be aware about the technologies which are being used, and also the newer technologies. They'll have to maintain a balance between a customer focus and engineering excellence. They should have, or they should rather share a holistic view of what has been delivered. More importantly, they should develop trust, should have transparency, and also not assume things. uh, the tools of agile are also important, so a manager should know which tools to be used at what places. And Chitra spoke about empathy, and I absolutely believe that managers has to be empathetical. And I can share a very good live example which I had. So the other day, I and my family were just went out to buy some grocery, and I had my kiddo with me. And then we saw a roadside seller. It was raining, and the roadside seller was selling those dustbin bags. And then one biker came in, and he just handed over 50 rupees to that person who was selling it. And then I asked my son, I said, look, what has happened? And then he said, oh wow, what a good empathy. I'm like, no, this is not empathy. That was sympathy. It was because somebody saw a person standing in rain selling a dustbin bag. That person handed over some money to him, right? Empathy is different. Empathy is, you stand with that person, you experience what is happening when you are standing in rain and selling that particular dustbin bag or things, and then you understand what is happening. So there's a thin line between empathy and sympathy, and I guess every manager or every leader needs to be very, very, very empathetical in the current scenario where we are, right?
Gaurav, I'll also add on to what you said, because it's not just empathy is also a very good tool when you are actually talking to somebody on the other side, because then that helps you counter, right? So it's a
Absolutely.
very important tool for negotiation, for conflict resolution. I mean, you just need to know what is it that how they're thinking. So yeah,
True,
that's
true,
a good
very true.
example.
Right.
So, Gaurav.
Right. Point, basically, I would, again, like Renuka said, we would not say managers, but leaders, is one of the main responsibility will be to connect their employees and help them develop innovative networks across the department, so that then you really start gaining those E-shape or comb-shaped skill sets when you try and build the innovative network across departments. And last but not the least, I want to say managers should encourage their employees to question the status quo and to continuously test any assumptions and learnings from the result. A lot of the times it happens that at a lot of organizations or at a lot of places, the team member want to say something, is seeing that something is not happening right, but they don't. So I think as leaders, we should start having our teams challenge or question the status quo and say, no, this is how it has to be done, or this is what my idea is, or these are my suggestions. So that's where I think a manager has to encourage those kind of culture, environment, and atmosphere on and on. With that said, I think we covered quite a lot of discussion around a lot of points, and we can move forward to the question and answer session. And I would just go through one by one and see if which we can pick up. Um, okay, let me just go through the chat. All right, and okay. So one of the question asked is, how is an agile project manager different from a project manager, presuming that the goal of both is same, success of project team? Is there any difference in mindset? And Renuka, would you like to answer that?
Sure. So project manager and agile manager. Okay. So we have been talking about what is the difference between manager. We have been talking about how this manager, agile manager, or leader role is so multifold, right? So traditionally project managers are supposed to work on specific things, like they're responsible for a lot of things for the success of the projects and everything. I think what is different in agile project management is how that role has changed. The core being, we are moving from waterfall, we want to deliver in an agile way, right? So how do we do it being agile ourselves? So it's not really more of a difference, but how the role has again evolved and probably has been divided into different things. So I've also seen a lot of the times, when we don't want to hire scrum masters or don't want to, the typical transition from a project manager to scrum master seems to be very easy and simple, and that's what we do, right? But while doing that, that is the transition which we are making from a typical project manager role to a agile project manager role. So we are changing the way we are handling or helping the team with delivery. Some of the typical waterfalling tasks are changed into more collaborative tasks. We understand what agile way of delivering things is. Like, for example, the biggest change would be we are not waiting for 12 months or 1 year or 7 months to deliver something or to even get a feedback. So that is one thing which is definitely changing. An agile project manager and is usually looking for, those feedback loops on a regular way. We are sprinting more frequently. We are looking to do multiple things in small cycles and looking to deliver value every sprint. So it's the process which changes, but it is also the mindset which is changing. And I think we have been using this Agile Project Manager role name a lot, but even this will change because everyone is going to be a leader anyhow. So this will change.
All right, that was good, Renuka. Okay, then other question is, as a agile project manager, how to foster innovation in agile team? And we would like to hear this from Saurabh.
Yeah. Okay. So it's this innovation thing, right? This innovation is not a lot to do with the project manager. It is more to do with the kind of team that you have. And all you need to do is listen to them, because your technical team will only come up with innovative ideas, and then they will try to discuss it with you, never turn them down. Every idea is a good idea, and listen to that, right? So what I've been doing recently is, I'm conducting something called Tech Camp in my own organization, where anybody can come, demonstrate their code, demonstrate their feature, or if there is any cool thing that they have done in the code, right? And this is a place where we don't turn down anybody. They can come talk, open an ID, and also talk, right? So what you can actually do as a manager is allow them to talk, put a timing. Okay, this is a time in which like everybody comes together, we discuss a good engineering practice, or maybe something that can be done good on a product, right? And follow that process. Make sure that that process is followed. Like if it is bi-weekly, do it bi-weekly. If it is weekly, do it weekly. Take an action item, and always keep in mind that you will have to put some budget to this. We are all dealing with, say, intellectual engineers, and if we stop their thinking, then like we are not like making sure that they will advance in their career, right? So as a manager, what you should do is allow this openness where people can come talk their engineering ideas, their ideas about the products, etc., and always make sure that you will have to take this and go to your stakeholders. That's
Mhm. That's wonderful, Saurabh. All right, the next question is, and this is interesting, how Scrum Master deal with managers who suffer from insecurity problems and act as impediments to overall Scrum processes intentionally. And Chitra, you would like to take this?
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand the pain. I think Agile has changed a lot of things, right, in the workplace. So um, I think first of all, it depends on the organization. If your organization is new, I don't think this is going to happen in an organization which is mature and with agile mature. I'm saying, which has been so this is, I would say, one of the teething problems or the initial problems, right? So you have a manager, traditional manager, and then suddenly you have a scrum master. So the manager does not even have a role. They're not even present. They do not have to be present within the DSUs, and so they have no clue, and they're dependent on the scrum master. So vital, very very key here is to help the manager, train the manager, and understand what is their role. We spoke about it at length, and the, Gaurang, I'll go back to, I think this question is very important. I think the first question is important because we still have these kind of instances or scenarios playing out in organizations where we have managers who are supposed to be helping the teams, but they are actually an impediment themselves, right? So it's very unfortunate, but I would say that it's important that we give training, we make them understand what is their role, what is their place in the overall system, in the overall agile world. And insecurities happen because you do not understand what is your role and what is the value that you're expected to bring in. If I know that I this role which I'm supposed to perform has a value, and how it is tying, I won't get into the details of that because that's been the subject matter of this entire conversation today, right? What is the role of a manager? So coming back to this question, we need to address it immediately because it is it's an impediment. And how we do it is how we have seen, right? So we involve people, we bring empathy, we resolve the conflict, and then we train both sides. So it could also be that the scrum master may have to give certain things, or may have to make sure that at least reports from the tool, or from Jira or from Rally or something is provided, or give them a self-serve mechanism where the manager can come and remove those for the metrics, right? So we have to make sure that we first understand what is the problem, and then using empathy, using conflict resolution techniques, involving senior management, escalating, and then bringing training to address these problems. So identify the problem and then train the people. And so that's how you should do this. But I think thank you for this question. It's a very, very important.
Wonderful. And the next question is, and I think we would take a couple of questions just to stay in time. So the next question is: we have seen managers are anti-agile, and they bring lot of dysfunction because of their nature of controlling roles like Scrum Master and teams. This is very common. What do you have to say on this? Um, Trupti, Saurabh, Renuka, Chitra, whoever wants to jump in. Um,
So I'm not sure. I just want to say, like, if the manager is anti-agile, I'm not sure what to do, but maybe just escalate.
I would like to share an experience about this. So it was one of our, earlier clients which we were trying to transform, and we were working with project managers traditionally, right? And how the roles were changed,
mhm.
like BAs and SAs. Usually, while we are working on the roadmap and trying to explain people, we would say there is not a role for a BA because it is more like evolved into an agile team, right? A product owner is there, product managers are there, so it's different. So I think when we say anti-agile, it is about the insecurity a person has in their mind, and they are unable to put themselves forth for that agile mindset. People used to literally cry that, hey, is my job going? You're saying there is no project manager now. There are scrum masters and there are different technology delivery managers. Am I losing my job? So I think this situation usually arises because they are unable to transition to that mindset. Nothing is anti-agile. It is just about opening their minds, right? But yeah, it
Correct.
seems like anti-agile because they are, instead of being the helpers in driving agility, they are roadblocks most of the time. It's a very real-time scenario. So the solution to this is, how do we help understand their insecurities first? What is causing them to be anti-agile and rejecting agile, and what is really happening, and then helping them, hand-holding them literally through this change. I think that is very, very, very crucial, and it's a challenging thing because everyone is different. Insecurity is mostly same, so it's all only about helping them how we can make them understand that what is really being done. So it's not about you losing your job, but it's about you getting more to do, you getting something better and innovative to do, you innovating and moving to next step in what you were doing until now, but you're expanding that and you're being more helpful. I think that is important to help remove that. Uh,
Yeah, I'd also
That
like to
is
add
super,
one more
Renuka.
point.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Chitra.
yeah, yeah. So one more point, right? I mean, when that person is somebody's anti-agile, right? It's also because I've seen this, right? I have seen people being saying that agile doesn't work. Why? Because they have seen agile teams, which have not been able to do even the basic tasks, or iterations have shut down, and they've gone back to waterfall within 2 or 3 iterations. Why? You need to understand that, and so sometimes it's also because it was not too agile. In this instance, the team was constantly being bombarded. The business was involved, so they thought that agile is definitely everybody has to be involved, the business has to be involved. But what they did was they never time boxed their iteration, so their backlog, the sprint backlog, just kept on growing. And ultimately, this nobody was happy, because the team felt that they're going on doing things, the requirements are changing, there was scope creep. And then the product owner was like, every day I'm sitting with the team, and still I'm not able to get it done. So try and understand why this is anti-agile. Maybe they've not really seen, they don't know agile in the true sense. And so going back to just try and understand what is the manifesto saying. Rest all is something that we introduce depending upon the context. But stick to the basics of agile, and I don't think you will find anybody who's anti-agile.
All right, that was super insights from our fellow panelists. And just one last quick thing I want to add is basically we are all talking about psychological safety, right? And there is this, and I'll just go a little bit into psychology. There is this, when your human body is not psychological safe, it will generate a fight or a flight hormone, right? That's called a cortisol. And your adrenal glands, they generate cortisol, right? So just one personal tip from me, and I'm just doing some research and reading on this. One thing is, just try and understand why those cortisol levels are generated in the manager or in the opposite person's mind. Try and solve that in a good way. I am sure they will not be anti-agile. They'll become pro-agile then, or rather they'll start coming towards your side. So there was just one small thing which I thought I could quickly share here.
And I thank the panelist, our moderator Gaurang, for facilitating such a beautiful panel discussion today. And looking at the responses and the questions what you have received, at least we have received around 15 plus questions. So it proves that this has been a very interesting and very interactive session. So also thank the fellow panelists, Tripti Gule, Saurabh, Chitra, and Renuka, for being part of this panel discussion.